block layers, plumbers, electricians, like all of these people. Like the reality is these people now are earning as much money as,
or
more money
more,
exactly
yeah,
than the people who are coming out of college with the degree, because they are sought after and they're in such short supply.
Hello and welcome to the AgriFocus podcast from Agriland. I'm very delighted to be joined this week on the AgriFocus podcast by Executive Director of the Farm Tractor Machinery Trade Association, Michael Farrelly, and it's just ahead of the FTMTA's Farm Machinery Show, which is taking place on the 5th and 6th of July. But broadly starting off, Michael, can I just ask you about the sentiment in the machinery industry at the moment? What is it looking like this year so far? I know we're just in June, July, so only half of the year has gone. Is it looking like it might be a quieter year than last year going on sales?
The figures so far, we track the monthly figures for new tractor sales in the country, and they've been broadly in line with the figures from last year. But I think there is a bit of a lag coming into those figures from machines that were ordered last year and coming in this year. So I think the sentiment would be that the market has cooled a little bit, but that's coming off the back of two very, very strong years. So it's going back to where it would normally be, but it's still performing very well.
And looking ahead, are there any sort of, obviously through COVID and of course the impact of supply chain issues with the war in Ukraine and other issues that the Suez Canal at the time caused problems, have they eased up now? Is there still that sort of delay from when you go into a yard or you look at something in a brochure to when you actually get it into your own yard?
So a lot of those log jams, and there have been so many of them, you're right, like you'd even forget about things like the Suez Canal and the impact that had on it. But a lot of those log jams have worked their way through the system, and we are seeing, the energy prices coming back and all of that. So broadly speaking, all those issues have been resolved. All the supply chain issues have been resolved. There's still some components that are hard to get. For example, some people are telling me now castings, stuff like that is hard to get. But generally speaking, most of them are available and are back to normal, timelines for getting them and all of that. So yeah, that it's a better place than it was. And to answer your question in terms of from when you go into a dealership to order something when it's delivered, those timelines have certainly shortened as well.
I suppose the big issue then is price and
Yeah.
the price of machinery. You'll hear every single day of the week a farmer saying, are the prices ever going to come down? I mean, I don't know at this stage, will they ever come down? Yes, energy prices have come back, but some commodities or some particular components are difficult to get still, which means if there's demand for them and little supply, that's going to keep the prices up there. So are we looking probably at the same prices, if not more, as time goes on?
Well, I think that you're seeing price stabilization come into the situation now. And look, there's no doubt there have been significant price increases over the last number of years. And you have currently things like inflation, and that drives, things like wage inflation and other pressures on that. But I think the prices have stabilized now, and I don't expect the kind of price rises we had seen in the past to feature going forward.
Another thing that has globally come up over the last number of months, and I suppose there's many very much welcoming it. There might be some who don't, but the big manufacturers seem to be getting on board with it, is the right to repair. And dealers being given, the technology, and if not the dealer, then the mechanics and so on. Do you think that ultimately long term will be a good thing for the industry?
Yeah, well, I think it is a good thing for the industry. I'm not so sure that it was as big an issue as it was made out to be, because I think people had the software and, you can see it across the board, people are getting a certain brand of a machine repaired with a guy who's in has a non-branded garage. He just fixes whatever tractor comes into him. So look, I think in the world we live in today, where we're looking at sustainability and recycling and reuse and all of that, it's more important. So I don't see any issue with that at all.
Speaking about mechanics there, obviously something that has been very topical lately, Michael, is the lack of agri mechanics in the country. There are hundreds, I believe, of vacancies in every sort of, dealership, manufacturer and so on for agricultural mechanics. It's very hard to get them. And I know this is something that FTMTA have been very strong about in terms of apprenticeships for young people coming out of school that might be interested in a career in this and promoting that. How difficult are you hearing back on the grapevine through your members? How difficult is it to find that kind of labour?
So it's very difficult, but like it's difficult across the board to find anyone for any position, Like when people talk to me about jobs in the agri-machinery industry, people automatically think of ag mechanics, and they are a very important part in it. But, I see companies advertising like for positions like the head of IT infrastructure architecture, for design engineers, for, people for designing and all those other engineering careers, there's financial roles, there's all of those. But to get back to your point about the ag mechanics, there is a huge shortage. We surveyed our members recently, and we would estimate that there's a shortage presently today in Ireland of 650 mechanics across the industry. And there's a bit of it is the fact that during COVID, the apprenticeship schemes weren't taking on new recruits, and so that created a bit of a backlog. You have people exiting the industry the whole time, the expansion of garages, etc. But there are also, you're losing them all the time, and part of that can be, I like to talk about the career progression in the industry. So you have a guy who starts out as a mechanic, and then he goes into sales, or he goes into, working for a major manufacturer or whatever. So you've lots of natural attrition in the industry, and we're finding it very hard to replace those quickly enough. Now, I think part of the problem there is every parent these days seems to want their children to do a degree and go to college and do the degree. And not every student is academically inclined, or, some of them would be better going into areas where they're getting a technical training and learning on the job, because everyone has different ways of learning. And I think that's what we're not very good at. We're not very good at, through the school system, identifying those people and then having a clear path to say, hey, look, this is a really valid and really good way for you to progress your career. You're showing an aptitude for learning in whatever direction, be it in electrics or plumbing or mechanical or whatever it is, So I think it's about working with schools to identify those people. And even in the school system, the schools are rated based on how many of their students go to college and what colleges do they go to. There should be more credit given to people who are entering those technical skills and and apprenticeships also. So there's a bit of work there to do on all the aspects of improving, getting young people involved in the industry. And then we're also working with the industry to try and improve, once they get into the industry, that they're better workplaces, that they're modern workshops with modern equipment in them and modern technology there, because these days to work on a large modern tractor, there's so much technology in it that you have to be capable of working with that also.
Oh, that's true. I mean, the days of a ramshackle garage with, an old David Brown and a fella coming out in, ribbons of overalls is gone. Look at the type of machinery that's coming out now. I mean, I feel like you need a NASA degree to sit into a Valtra or a Fendt, these days. That's the way it's gone. It's so highly technical. And that's a really important point, I think, Michael, that you made there in terms of the promotion of different routes to careers in this country. As you said, the wave at the moment is, and, it's wonderful to see a lot of people going towards education. But I know in my family, for example, split down the middle between the men and the women, and the men all went into trades, and they are astoundingly on top of their field now in terms of machinery operation and anything to do. Like, they would be poached tomorrow morning by any company across the country because they worked their way up. But I know, even speaking to my brothers who do work for major companies now in terms of machinery operation, everything, they cannot get people. They can't get people who, young lads have come up who are willing to, because it has become very, very technical. There's a lot of health and safety. It's all GPS based now and everything. So it nearly is a degree in itself doing an apprenticeship, but it is important to get it into the school system, that it's not just one route to get a career in this country. And that's through, third level education. Apprenticeships are absolutely vital as well.
Absolutely. And as I said, to get the the scoring system for schools to recognise that it's really important that we have all these skills. Like if you look at any of those skills where you may do an apprenticeship, like in terms of block layers, plumbers, electricians, like all of these people, like the reality is these people now are earning as much money
or more,
or
I
more
can tell
money,
you more,
exactly, than the people who are coming out of college with the degree, because they are sought after and they're in such short supply. And I also, is one of my family members who's involved in a large engineering firm, and he would always say that the people coming in, like electronic engineers and people like this, it's the people who started out as electricians and then, studied at night and whatever and progressed.
Absolutely.
They are the brilliant engineers, because they are the people that understand, they have the common sense. They understand what's happening on the ground, and they can translate that then into designing and, designing these modern factories and pharmaceutical plants and all of this. So, I think that's more recognition needs to be given to those skills and, of those skills.
And I was heartened to see that the FTMTA plans to really push that in schools, come the autumn, to go out and really nurture, I suppose, those opportunities for people who may be struggling in school and don't like the school system, don't like the academic setting. And actually, it would be very heartening to see someone come in and offer them something else that they might be more interested in.
Yeah. And we're getting good support from the dealership network throughout the country where they're willing also to go in and talk to their local schools and the people, the people local to their area as well. And that's a very important part of it. Yeah.
Moving on now, Michael, the Farm Machinery Show is taking place now, first week in July. The weather seems good. We're hoping for a big turnout at the site there in Punchestown. So in terms of agricultural shows are finding it tough. Like they went through COVID, obviously, where they couldn't take place at all. It's difficult sometimes to get exhibitors or trade stands to participate. And, manufacturers, dealers could be finding alternative routes to try and publicise their products nowadays. But what has been the feedback so far for this year's machinery show? I remember I was there myself last year. It seemed like a very successful one. Are you getting the same level of interest this year?
We are, yeah. And I suppose what sets us apart, and what people forget sometimes, is the FTMTA, the Farm Tractor Machinery Traders Association. It's our members that are exhibiting at these shows. So we're a not-for-profit organisation. So we don't run these shows to make a profit. We run these shows for the benefit of our members, who are the manufacturers, that being the large international manufacturers, the big tractor manufacturers like John Deere and Claas and, Fendt and Valtra and Case New Holland, all of those. But then also the next level of manufacturers, so the implement manufacturers, your Pottinger, your Lemkin, your Farrelly, McConnell, all of these guys. And then the indigenous Irish manufacturers, the McHale's and Malone's and Cross Engineering and all those great Irish companies. So, we do it so that they can showcase their machinery. And what's unique about our show really is that in the main, it's the manufacturer themselves that are there exhibiting at our show. It's not the dealers. So what that means is then all the dealers come to and will be on the stand of that manufacturer. They'll have all their dealers on the stand. But then you also get all the technical staff from the manufacturer. And what's really valuable about that are the two-way conversations that happen there. So the farmer or the contractor can ask technical questions about how can I get the most out of my machine? Can I fine tune it? Is there something I can do differently? These are the issues I'm having with it, and get those answers from the experts there. But that also feeds fantastic information back to the manufacturer about how can we improve this machine? How are the guys on the ground that are using it? What are the challenges they're facing with them? And it could be something simple, but it's those conversations that are happening at our show. And they're really, really valuable to the industry and to the end users, be that a farmer or a contractor.
Absolutely. The data there itself is a gold mine in itself for those exhibiting.
Yeah. No, it is unique, and that's the feedback we get. We don't have livestock. We don't have other things at it. It's a focused machinery show. Now, we do have plenty on offer for other people. We've the toy models for the kids if they want to come along. We've lots of merchandise at the thing which other people want. We've the popular stands like Grassmen coming along, stuff like that. So there's something for everyone. It's a good family day out. And, Punchestown being the great venue it is, it's very easy to get into in terms of the road networks, but also the facilities there and the infrastructure in Punchestown with restaurants and cafes and toilets and, parking and all of that. So, it's a popular venue, popular show.
I will say that from last year. Now, you were blessed with the weather as well, in fairness, last year. But what I did notice was what you just mentioned there, that, it's nearly a trade show, but it did not feel like a trade show. It felt like a family day out, which was strange for something that was, primarily just machinery.
Yeah.
But to see the kids, I mean, I know little smallies in the west of Ireland that would give their right arm to see some of the machines that would be there. Yeah. So kids are off school now. The weather is nice. Even if you're just a family and you want to go and look at what is essentially the cutting edge of machinery, because they bring all the best machines over. Yeah. I mean, last year they had the e-powered one, didn't they?
Methane-powered New Holland. That'll be there again.
The New Holland as well.
Yeah. There's everything like this year again, like in terms of new models and that. New Holland will be there again with a new the T7 300 model, which is the first showing of it in Ireland.
Wow.
Valtra are coming with a couple of new Q series tractors. Will be there. Fendt have their cargo telehandler, which is a novel machine. There's like right across the board there are
Merlo,
showcasing.
I think Komatsu are going to have new machines there as well.
Yeah, there's lots of the first showing of machines in Ireland. Then you've things like, IAM are bringing up their Farm Droid, which is a solar powered, autonomous, sowing and seeding machine. This machine, you put it out in the field, you show it where the edges of the field are, and then it works on its own 24 hours a day, powered by solar, and mechanically seeds and weeds crops. It's an amazing bit of technology.
Incredible.
So there's everything from that right back down. We have the people who are servicing the industry as well, the insurance companies, the finance companies, people that are selling the spare parts. So it's really everything you need in the farm machinery sector that is there at the show. Yeah, and people were blessed with the weather last year, but I think the weather this year, it's looking like it's going to be good as well. So a great day out for the family.
And Michael, have you seen trends this year that are slightly different from last year, or have last year's trends evolved in terms of anything new? Do you see more of a shift to those sort of machinery being more sustainable, more sustainably manufactured, more sustainable in operation, be it methane powered or electric or that kind of thing? Is that becoming more evident this year again?
Yeah, well, look, there is absolutely no doubt about it that is the direction of travel. So all those large companies are, they in terms of their manufacturing and trying to make it, the facilities more sustainable. That's happening all the time. You're not going to see that so much at the show, but what you will see is the new machinery and the new trends, especially in the tillage sector, where they're moving away from the plough and moving towards min-till or no-till systems and that. So you're absolutely seeing that. The thing like the Farm Droid, that is technology, coming into it. The most common question I probably get asked in settings like this is, so are we seeing the end of the guy sitting on the tractor seat? But I think it'll be a long, long time before that happens, but definitely the technology in terms of precision ag, so that you are maximizing where the use of your inputs, where you're not overlapping, where you're not wasting a grain of fertilizer or a drop of spray, things like that. That's where it really is, And the conversations that people are really starting to have now in the industry, it's nearly moving beyond that again. It's about the amount of data that's being captured now. Like you see this in the dairy industry with guys that are milking using robots and they've collars on cows and they're capturing that data and using that data to drive efficiency. That kind of stuff is also happening in the machinery sector. And, whether it's a forage harvester, which is, as it's harvesting, it's giving you a report on the quality of the feed. in terms of dry matter content and in terms of protein and all those constituents. Same with slurry spreading and, measuring the slurry as it goes out. So you're seeing it in every area. When we go to the big thing, the TAMS grants and low emission slurry spreading, and the big controversy at the time when it was announced was that the new TAMS grant, you couldn't get the 60% grant on a dribble bar.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But now I know of 3 innovative solutions that are going to be at our show, which are, adopting the dribble bar to make it compliant with the new TAMS grant. So definitely things are relevant to sustainability.
Michael, finally, I might ask you, so personally in your role as Executive Director of FTMTA, you've been there now 2 years or so. How have you found the role? Has there been any element of it that surprised you over the last 2 years that you weren't expecting, anything that you've learned or anything that you've really enjoyed or found to be a challenge?
Well, yeah, there's lots of challenges in it because there's a lot that we want to do for the industry and a lot, there's a lot more we want to do. So sometimes it can be frustrating that we're not getting things done quickly enough. But we've recruited some good people and that's really good to come on board. But what I love about the role are meeting the members and the member firms and those people. Because by and large, they're either brilliant technical people from the manufacturers or they're very entrepreneurial people are running fantastic businesses around here. So if you go to all the family businesses that like the McHale's, the Malones, the Abbeys, the High Specs, the Majors, all these companies, Dramone Engineering, Cross Engineering, like right throughout Ireland, and they're companies that are based in rural Ireland where people can they create employment in areas with high quality jobs, like we spoke about earlier, those engineering jobs, those finance jobs. And so people can expect to come back to the area they grew up in and live in it and have these quality jobs in those areas. And then the dealerships. And when you see how they spread their tentacles of, the commerce that's done around them farm wide, that's what impresses me most about them. And that's what I like most about the role, is meeting those people and seeing what they're doing on the ground. I'm so impressed by it.
Fantastic. Well, the Farm Machinery Show is open, I think, from 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. on both days. That's July 5th and July 6th at Punchestown. So hopefully you'll get the weather, Michael, and a big turnout as well on the day. So that's all from this week's latest episode of AgriFocus with Executive Director of the FTMTA. Thank you for joining us, Michael Farrelly. Stay tuned for more podcasts on the Agriland app and on the website.